Hello, today we're going to do another unboxing, and this time we're doing the Chaos Incarnate deck, as you can see there. I'll flip it over. Some pretty cool cards on the back, they're going to be in the box. So let's see what this is. It's a new, sort of a new product, Starter Commander deck. The difference between these is the price. Oh, it's on this side. This side's really taped in. What's this? Something in here. Never seen this before. Oh, here we get the... Oh, here's the deck box. Okay. There's the inside of that. There we go. There's the deck. Oh, looks pretty nice. Wish these bottom things wouldn't fold in as much. And then that was all that was in there. So I guess we're gonna see what's in. Oh god, this is like a block. Hold on. Of course, you get the not commanders. This is kind of different. So you get a little. Just usually get one of these little pamphlets. Tells you how to basic summary the deck, and then also gets the commander rules, which, considering as a start product, is definitely needed. And got a pretty cool art of our commander, Kardur. Now we have the deck itself. We got the deck. First we get a Kardur, brand new art, looks pretty nice. So for 2 black and a raise, a 4 free legendary Demon Berserker. When Kardur enters the battlefield until your next turn, creatures your opponents control are goaded, which means they have to attack if able, but they cannot attack you. And whenever attacking creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life and gain 1 life. So it looks like by this commander, it looks like we're just going to be chaos. We're trying to throw a little chaos around, force them to attack while we just sit back and watch the fireworks. Yeah. Next up we have, well, first up we have Archfiend of Depravity. So for free and double black, we got a 5/4 flying demon. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, they choose 2 creatures they control, sacrifice the rest. This is pretty decent. It basically limits how many creatures they can have on their end phase. So basically you can shut down most stacks pretty quickly. Get Blood Gift Demon. Is this Demon Tribal or something? You got free and double black for a 5/4 flying demon. And at the beginning of your upkeep, target player draws a card and loses a life. This is pretty decent. Early in the game, you're just gonna let you draw a bunch of cards. Later on, you can actually start using this as a life drain, though usually that doesn't happen until they're on very low life. Puts them on a clock. We got Deadly Tempest, 4 double black, get a sorcery. It says destroy all creatures, then each player loses life with the amount of creatures they. So it's an interesting board wipe. So obviously it's probably the best time to play the board wipe is when you don't have a lot of creatures or any, while your opponents have a ton of creatures. This can kill a bunch of players actually, but probably not. It's still a pretty good creature board wipe. Next we got Dredge the Mire. So for 3 and a black, we get a sorcery. Each opponent chooses a creature in their graveyard. They put them into the battlefield under your control. So it is a dredge effect, though it's not as good because they get to choose, so they just give you like a random creature. But you can manipulate the graveyard and get whatever you want back, essentially. They got Odd Nixilis Regain, so we get a Planeswalker. 3 and double black for Legendary Planeswalker Nixilis. His +1 lets you draw a card and lose a life. -3 destroys a creature. And then -8 gives an opponent emblem where whenever anyone draws a card, they lose 2 life. So this is actually not a bad Planeswalker. Like, its -3 is pretty decent. It's got a draw. The ultimate, probably not going to happen, but if it does, most of the time it can very quickly kill a player, especially if one guy is playing, like, Spellsingers or something. That's really fun. Next, you got Profane Command. So for X and double black with a sorcery, you could choose 2. Target player loses X life. Return a creature of mana value X or less from your graveyard to play. Target creature gets -X on a turn, and then up to X target creatures gain fear until on a turn. This means they can't be blocked except by black and or artifact creatures. So basically they're very scary, and so only the robots have no emotions, or the demons can block them, basically. Next you got Rashka Debaser. So for 4 and double black, you have 6/6 cat demon. And whenever attacks, you put a creature from the defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. And it has Encore, so for 6 double black, you can exile from the graveyard to create a token copy for each opponent that has to attack them that turn with haste. But the token is spread at the beginning of the next end step. So it basically allows you to, for a little bit of damage around, but more importantly, get a bunch of creatures out from their graveyards. And the nice thing is that you get to choose what creature you get, unlike that other card from earlier. You get out of hand very quickly. Next, you got Region Up the Pit. 4 and double black with the sorcery. Each player sacrifices a creature. Create an XX black demon with creature with flying. Or access the total power of the creature sacrificed this way. It's basically it's like an edict effect, but you also get a demon. Most times, demon is going to be the biggest, unless you sacrifice a big creature purposely. As most times, you're just going to sacrifice a random token or something. Next, you got Sangermancer. So 3 and double black, we get a free vampire shaman with flying. Whenever a creature opponent controls dies, you can gain free life. And when an opponent discards a card, you can gain free life. So basically, you punish your opponents for doing stuff by giving you a ton of life over the course of the game. Next, you got Scythe Spectres. 4 and double black, get a 4/4 Spectre with flying. Whenever it deals common damage to a player, each opponent discards a card, and the player who discards the highest value card will lose life equal to its cost. So if you're playing against something like a dragon deck or something that has a lot of big creatures in it, this can really punish them, specifically if they're trying to throw their creature in the grave to dredge them back later or something. Next you get Spectral Primordial. So 5 double black, get a 5/4 Avatar with Intimidate. Means it can't be blocked except by artifact creatures or creatures that are counterfeit, so it would be black, so basically like fear. And what is the battlefield for each opponent? You could put up to 1 target creature from their graveyard on the battlefield in your control. A lot of dredge effects and a lot of edict effects, so it looks like we just want to dredge a lot of their stuff back while making them lose stuff at the same time. Pretty cool theme. Next you got Soul Snatcher. 2 and a black, you get an instant. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. Planeswalker with the highest mana value among them they control. It's pretty decent. It does a target, which is nice. So it gets around Hexproof and Lightning Greaves. And most of the time, the best thing they have is going to be the biggest card, but sometimes it's not, so it's circumstantially useful. Next you get Titan Hunter. So 4 and a black, get a 4/5 Human Warrior. Give each player's end step, no creatures died this turn, it deals 4 damage to that player. And also 1 of black, you can sacrifice a creature to gain more life. So basically it's encouraging players to either sacrifice their own creatures or force them to just go into battle and die, just so they don't take the 4 damage every turn. And it has a built-in sacrifice effect for yourself, so at least you won't be taking the damage every turn. Next you get Blasphemous Act for 8 red. Sorcery, but it costs 1 less for each creature on the field, and it deals 13 damage to each creature. It's a fantastic board wipe in general. Most of the time it could cost a single black easily, and will kill most things, except maybe things with Indestructible. Speaking of things with Indestructible, there's Brash Taunter. 4 and a red, you get a 1/1 Goblin. Is Indestructible. Whatever's dealt damage deals that much damage to target opponent. And then tune a red and tap it. Brass Taunter fights another creature. This allows you to throw around a ton of damage, but you don't have to worry about it dying because it's indestructible, so no matter how much damage it will take, it will always survive. So you can use stuff like Blasphemous Act to do a ton of damage to this while clearing the board and just throwing around damage. Next you have Chaos Swarm. I've seen this card a lot. Tune a red's an instant. You shuffle a permanent into its owner's library, and then they flip the top card. As the permanent gets put into play, it's an interesting sort of removal slash chaos effect, as it could just give them a land, but sometimes they could just get something better, or even worse, the same card, but usually that doesn't happen too often. That's a Combustible Gear Hulk. So 4 in a double red, you get a 6/6 artifact construct with first strike. When it's the battlefield, you can have target opponent give you free cards. If they don't, you mill free, and it deals damage to them equal to the total value of those cards. This is an interesting type of card since it technically lets you draw free. Well, if your opponent lets you anyway. Most of the time, early in the game, they may just let you mill. But later in the game, when they could potentially take a lot of damage, there's a lot of high CMC cards in here, they may just give you the free cards. And this is actually a really solid body on field. 6 first strike. Not bad. This got Dictate of the True Gods. 3 in double reds enchantment with flash. It basically makes all sources deal double damage. So this could get very chaotic. And this discounts all sources, not just your own. So if you play this at the right time, this can throw around a lot more damage than expected. Sometimes even maybe end games. This got Fiery Confluence. So for 2 in double red, it lets you choose free, but you could choose the same one more than once. It deals 1 damage to each creature, 2 damage to each creature, or destroy target artifact. This can either be like a mini Pyroclasm, maybe throw around some extra damage to the opponent, or destroy a few artifacts in the plan. Not bad. Next we have Godic Rager. So 4 double red, you get a 4 free with first strike, it's elemental. And with landfall, means whenever you play a land, you can go each creature a player controls. So obviously they have to attack, but they cannot attack you. It's pretty good in the deck since it's going to force your opponent to swing out with everything. We don't have to worry about it since nothing can come at you. So it's really nice. Then we got Kazil, Tyrant of the Eclipse. This is a pretty cool card. So 3 in double red, you get a 5/4 legendary Orc Warrior. Whenever a creature opponent controls attacks, if you're the defending player, you get to create a free red Orc creature token, unless they pay free. So it's actually pretty good in the deck because most of the time with this type of strategy, players are going to just try to naturally swing at you. And if they do, they either give you a free token when you attack, which could just be used to chump it, or they're forced to pay the taxi free just to guarantee that they may get a hit in. So it's a pretty cool card. You actually could play as even Orc Tribal. I'm not sure how viable that is. That sounds like fun. Next got Sunbird's Invocation. Oh, this is an oldie. Well, sort of. 5 in a red's an enchantment. Whenever you cast a spell from your hand, you flip the top extract as the spell's mana value. And you can cast one of those spells, mana value extra less, while paying its mana cost. But the rest is in your library in order. So it's a little bit of a chaos effect, but there's a lot of high CMC cards in here, so most of the time you're going to be able to hit something and cast it. Next we have Magnetic Force. For 5 in triple red, you get a 7/7 elemental. And then give each upkeep, Magnetic Force deals free damage to a target. But this triggers on each upkeep can add up quick. Most of the time you're just going to be throwing this to your opponent's face, sometimes maybe killing a valuable creature or something. So it's a pretty cool effect. Next you got Tectonic Giant. 2 in double red, you get a free 4 elemental giant. Whenever it attacks and becomes the target of a spell your opponent controls, you can either have it deal free damage to each opponent, or exile the top 2 cards of your library, you choose one of them, and then until the end of your next turn, you can play that card. So it lets you do a little bit of damage, or you can get some free card selection just for it being attacked or being targeted. It's got Wild Ricochet. So for 2 in double red, you get an instant that lets you choose new targets for an instant sorcery, and then lets you copy the spell and choose new targets for that. So it's a decent protection effect, but also lets you copy the spell, so you can get basically 2 of them for 1. Pretty cool. Next you got Wildfire Devils. So for free and a red, you get a 4/2 Devil. And when there's the battlefield, and if you give your upkeep, you choose a player at random. That player exiles instant sorcery from your graveyard. You get to copy that card, and they can cast the copy for free. So over the course of this game, that could get you a lot of really good spells. Like maybe someone cast Cyclonic Rift earlier in the game. Late in the game, you could just kind of go crazy with this. So it's pretty random. It's get Kardur the Merciless. This could be your commander. It's 5 in black and a red. You get a 5/4 legendary human shaman. Whenever opponent casts a spell, Kardur deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target. So it's a little bit expensive, but over the course of the game, this could do a lot of damage. You can either use to pick off smaller things, or you can kind of bolt people. It gives you a lot of flexibility with what your opponent is trying to do. Next, you get Spiteful Visions. So for 2 and 2 hybrid black red, you get enchantment that says be careful each player's draw step. They draw just no card. But if a player draws a card, they take a damage. This is like a weird version. This is like almost like the rat nose version of Fever Visions, but slightly differently since it's just doing damage to them for drawing cards. So it's pretty fun. Let's get Stormfist Crusader. For black and a red, you get a 2/2 Human Knight with Menace. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card and loses a life. While this is giving your opponents free cards, it's also giving you a free card. And the damage, while insignificant at first, can add up to the point where you don't actually want to be taking more damage. Next, you have Theater of Horrors. So, for 1 black red, you get enchantment. You have your upkeep, exile top card of your library, and during your turn, if an opponent lost life this turn, you can play lands and cast spells from cards exile with Theater of Horrors. And then for free and a red, it deals a damage to target opponent or planeswalker. This feels like almost, this deck is like a slight exile theme. But this one is good because it lets you basically get access to a whole bunch of cards, as this card could get you a lot of cards quickly. So it gives you sort of a second hand with that if you've had this out. Next you have Coveted Jewel. So for 6 mana it's an artifact. When it enters play, you draw free. It can tap for free mana of any one color, and then whenever one or more creatures and opponent controls attacks you and are blocked, that player draws free cards and gains control of its Coveted Jewel and untaps. So basically, it rewards opponents for trying to attack you. You can kind of use this as a politic way, as you could say, hey, if you attack me, you get to draw a bunch of cards and gain control of this. Well, it's also a mana rock, so this could get very fun quickly. Next you get Solemn. So 4 mana, you get a 2/2 artifact Golem. When just play, you get to search for a basic and put into play tapped, and then when it dies, you can draw a card. Just a great card in general. It's pretty good in this deck because there's some die trigger synergies here, so good synergize. Now we get some lands. 4 Buried Ruins. So this is a land. As it enters play, you can reveal a swamp or mountain from your hand. It'll come and play on tap, otherwise it'll just come to play tap. So it's decent early on. Late in the game, it's just going to be a tap land. Let's get Smoldering Marsh. This is a swamp mountain. You can tap for your color, and then enters battlefield tap, let's control 2 more basics. So 99% of the time, this will come to play untapped unless it's like the first turn of the game. So just having that dual synergy is good. Next you get Sisnea Bloodhall. This is a land, it's a colorless land, tap for colorless. You can pay free, black, and a red, tap sack, and then tap. This deals 2 damage to target player or planeswalker. This is okay, I guess. It's kind of just a land. The effect is very costly just to do a minor amount of damage. You can easily upgrade that. It's got Temple Mouse, the temple land, so enter plays tap, scribe 1 when it enters, you get for your color. I'll get some more spells. Ambitions cost for free, and a black you get a sorcery that lets you draw free and lose free. So it's a decent card draw later in the game if you just tapped at this. Sure, free life may seem like a lot, but in Commander it's not. Next you get Feed the Swarm. So for 1 black, it's an instant that lets you destroy a creature or champion controls but you lose life due to the permanent's mana value. This black's one of black's few ways of dealing with enchantments. It's a pretty valuable role spell. Next you get Indulgent Tormentor. Free and double black, you get a 5 free demon. Beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card unless an opponent sacrifices a creature or pays free life. Most of the time they're just going to give you the card, but sometimes they just don't want you to get that card, so they have to pay a cost. That's an interesting effect. Let's get good old Read the Bones. 2 and a black, scry 2, draw 2, you lose 2. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's not bad. Next you get Sign in Blood, another classic. Double black, sorcery. Target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. It's pretty good. Next you got Siphon Mine. So for free and a black, you get sorcery. Each target player discards a card, but you draw a card for each card discarded. So most of the time this basically says each target player draws a card, you draw free, which is pretty decent. But later in the game this can be slightly worse. Sometimes players just won't have cards to discard. So it's decent. Next you got the classic Vampire Nighthawk. For 1 double black, get a 2 free Vampire Shaman. Flying, Death Touch, Lifelink. These keywords aren't bad for defending or attacking, as you can either attack and do some damage, gain some life, or you can keep this back as a Death Toucher and persuade your opponents to attack each other rather than you. Next you got a Braid with new aura. I've never seen this art before. 1 and red, you get an instant that can either deal free damage to a creature or destroy an artifact. The versatility is actually pretty nice on this spell. Next you got Explosion of Riches. 5 and a red, you get a sorcery, let you draw a card, but then everyone else can draw a card, but whenever a card is drawn this way, it deals 5 damage to an opponent chosen at random from among your opponents. So basically, it's a little bit of chaos cards, so you get to draw a card and throw 5 damage around, and then each opponent can decide to draw a card, but they have a chance of having 5 damage or more being thrown in their face. So it's kind of a risky gamble, especially in the game where you can just lose the game, but you can also get that free card. Next you got Gutter Snipe. 2 and a red, 2/2, Goblin, Shaman. We've cast into sorcery. Gutter Snipe deals 2 damage to each opponent. This kid would need the game later on, as doing damage to each opponent, not just one. So if you have enough spells, this little Gutter Snipe can do a lot of work. Next you got Hate Mirage. So for free and a red, you get a sorcery that lets you choose up to 2 creatures you don't control. And for each of those, you create tokens, copies of them that have haste, but they go away at the end of the turn. So basically you get 2 temporary copies of your opponent's creatures, which is pretty cool. Next you got Mana Geyser. Bring double red, you get a sorcery lets you get a red mana for each tap layer phone controls. This can give you a lot of mana later in the game. Way to explode on 1 turn basically. You got a Thermal Alchemist, so for 1 and a red you get a 0-free Human Shaman with Defender. You can tap it to do 1 damage to each opponent. And whenever you cast into a sorcery, untap Thermal Alchemist. So this can ping your opponents over the course of the game. It's also just a decent card to have up as a blocker. Next you got Breath of Malfergor. It's free black, red. You get an instant which deals 5 damage to your opponent. This is decent, I guess, later in the game, but otherwise it doesn't really do a lot. Next you get the Rakdos Charm. So for black and a red, you get an instant that lets you exile a graveyard, destroy an artifact, or have each creature deal 1 damage to its owner. So all these effects are pretty decent. The exile graveyard effect is pretty powerful. The damage effect is niche, but it can come up sometimes. Destroy artifact, it's always nice to have that option. You know, an instant makes it even better. Let's get the classic removal Terminate. For black and a red, you get an instant lets you destroy a creature and it can't regenerate. Just a good creature roll spell all around. Then you get Unlicensed Disintegration. Oh, this is an interesting one. So for 1 black and a red, you get an instant that allows you to destroy a target creature. But if you control an artifact, this also deals free damage to them. So it could, most times this is just going to be a rule spell. Sometimes you can just throw a little bit of damage at them. Next you get Arcane Signet, 2 mana, artifact. Tap it to add 1 mana of any color your commander's kind of like that. This is just a decent mana rock all around. Next you get Burnished Heart, 3 mana 2/2 artifact Elk. You can tap free and sacrifice it to search your library for 2 basics, put into play tapped and then shuffle. It's a good, decent ramp card early in the game. Next you got Commander's Spear, so free mana you get an artifact. Lets you tap for any color of your commander's card idea. And at any point you can sacrifice Commander's Spear, draw a card. That versatility makes this pretty good mana rock. Since early in the game you can use it for mana, but later on once you're getting a friend with removal, or would you just need the extra card, you can just get a free card for no cost. Pretty cool. Lightning Greaves is actually pretty good, so to make an artifact equipment, it gives a creature haste and shroud, and the cost is 0. So you can move the Greaves around to whatever creature you want, mostly a commander. And shroud is a pretty decent keyword, but it's protected from your own stuff, so sometimes you may have to move it around again. Next you got Nile Spellbomb. Make an artifact, and they can tap and sacrifice to exile a graveyard, and then when it goes into the graveyard from play, you can pay a black to draw a card. Just being basically just being a free graveyard exile at any point is pretty powerful. The extra draw can be helpful as well. Just got Rachno Signet, it's actually a pretty good one. 2 mana artifact, you can pay 1, tap to add black red. It's really good, especially in the non-ramp colors, so that's really appreciated to get here. Of course, Soul Rain, 1 mana artifact, tap for 2 colors, kind of was just broken. Next you get the Talisman Indulgence, so 2 mana artifact, you can tap for a colorless, or you can tap it for a black or a red, but then you have to take a damage. It's pretty versatile in how you can use it, because sometimes you're missing the colors. Later on, it's just going to be a mana rock. Then you got Wayfarer's Bauble. 1 mana an artifact, you can pay 2 and sacrifice it to search for a basic. One to play tapped and then shuffle. Pretty decent. Next you got Worm Power Stone. 3 mana artifact, enters play tapped, and then you can tap for 2 colors. It's basically like a slightly worse Soul Rain, but it's still like a Soul Rain, so pretty good. You got Become Refuge. Enters play tap, it gives you a life when it enters. Bloodfilled Caves, exactly the same as the last card. Cinder Barrens is the same thing, except it doesn't give you the life, unfortunately. The Command Tower gives you a mana for color identity, pretty decent. Think of the storage land, Molten Slag Keef. This could tap for a colorless, you could pay 1 and tap for a storage counter on this. Or you could pay 1 and remove X storage counters from this to add X mana in any combination of black or red. So these are pretty cool since you can put a bunch of storage counters in these, and then later on when you need a whole bunch of mana at once, you can get a bunch of mana off of this. So these are pretty interesting lands. I haven't seen them in a while though. If you have Mirrored Landscape, land comes play tap, you can tap for colors, or you can pay 2 and tap and sacrifice it. Search for 2 basics of the same land type, put them to play tap, and then shuffle, just a decent land. Urgborg Volcano, this is just Singer Glade, but much cooler art. And then you get a bunch of basics, we're going to skip over those. Let's get 15 swamps. And 14 mountains. Looks like now we're at some tokens. So yeah, we get some orc tokens for our guy. We get a demon token, and then we get Odnix's emblem. These are double sided. We have this emblem again. Okay, that's funny. Demon token. Ooh, and a bunch of zombie tokens. And then we have a how to play the game insert card. Pretty nice for a new player. So yeah, that's the whole deck. I think this is a pretty cool deck. I like the theme of it, being a little chaotic, but also having a little bit of a revival effect where you kill the creatures and then steal them. It's a pretty fun